Okay, so if there's an, let's say, somebody's driving down the road tonight and they get into a car accident and it was because they were, checking a post on their Facebook page. Is it, I would assume it's within the legal uh, right of the attorney and the system to go and subpoena records to say, hey, the accident
Absolutely.
occurred at, 9:32 in the evening. At 9:32 in the
Exactly.
evening, there was, somebody was accessing their account and texting. And so now that all of a sudden becomes sort of the smoking gun that says, well, here you're at fault.
And I bet you social
Absolutely.
media, it's easier to grab faster, right? If you did a Facebook
Uh-huh.
post or Twitter post, because it's time stamped much easier than having to go back to the phone company if they deleted it on something else. It's easier to grab the
Yeah.
time stamp of it on social media. Am I right or wrong on that?
100% right. And it happens to such a degree that it's involved in every single case. Whenever we send out discovery in a lawsuit, and we don't even, if we're suing the individual who caused the accident, we don't even have to throw a subpoena out there. We can just request it in the course of discovery because they're a defendant. And
Wow.
and it's one of the first things we ask for. Okay, send me every single text that you sent the day of the incident, and I want to see where it's time stamped. All the Facebook messages you sent, and we're just going to look at those timestamps. We're going to look at all the metadata to decipher what this person was doing during that time, and to try to create a trail or establish a pattern where we can show that that person frequently texts when they drive. And so it's not out of the norm if, there was a text that was deleted because they have a pattern of practice of doing this very thing. Right?
Oh, that's
Defendants hate it.
fantastic.
Well,
That's
and
fantastic.
so it comes back and really bites folks when they're doing it in the course and scope of their work, right? And so I have a case where there was a guy who, a truck ran into my client's vehicle from behind, and he was checking the GPS on his device. And the first thing he did is he ran up to my guy and he said, please don't sue me. Please don't sue me. I'm going to get fired from my job because I wasn't supposed to be checking this GPS. And, he's trying to evoke this, very sympathetic type of a response. Unfortunately, my guy wasn't really in much of a position to respond because he had to go to the hospital. And I mean, this guy's pretty messed up. But that was the issue that was there, is that now this guy has to be accountable to his work, and he has to look his boss in the eye and say, hey, I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I know that they're going to find it out, and I know that I can't lie about it because that's going to come back and it's going to bite me. And so they have to own up to it right there. And it creates a lot of problems in lawsuits.
Now that I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that not only do you look at what happened at the time of the accident, but you're actually looking to establish that track record so that there's a precedent. And you could say, hey, it wasn't just like they texted today while they were driving. Every day for the last 4 months, they've texted at least 4 times a day on average while they've been driving. And so being able to establish that sort of a pattern has got to be so much easier for an attorney to win a case against a client. And so everybody listening is probably going right now going, uh-oh, I better stop doing this because I could have a major problem.
Let's take it a step further than that. If somebody has been texting, let's say that they shoot out a text 30 seconds before this big accident happens, and they say, oh, man, I'm going to get in trouble. And so they quickly go back and they delete that text.
Still there.
And I find out that they deleted that text. That's called spoliation of evidence. And that seriously compounds the issue because they knew that there was evidence that was going to be used in a lawsuit against them that they destroyed, and then things become a lot worse.
Wow.
So, there's different ways to get at it, and it's a problem for folks who don't want to have that digital footprint because they'll be held accountable for it.
And they just don't think, because again, anytime we know we are caught, we try to eliminate the evidence quickly. And now it's very difficult even committing crimes on the street because of video surveillance now, right? So there's so many ways to pick up the investigation compared to years ago, right? and you're able to grab and use a lot of different research that you didn't have to, right? Before, you couldn't before, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And video cameras are everywhere too. I mean, they're every building, practically every business, every street corner, every traffic light. They all have video surveillance. You got people driving around with dash cams, and all you got to do is go on YouTube and do a search for, dash cam accidents, and man, you'll find some crazy stuff.
You certainly can. You certainly can. And, to be fair, you got to have an attorney who understands this and who's willing to put the work into the case to actually drive these things, because no defendant is going to want to produce that. Every defendant is going to say, no, it's irrelevant, or, I don't have it. You got to go and you got to do the work. And so it's important, and I don't want this to be too much of a plug for myself, but find an attorney who will work hard, that actually, maybe has a military mindset and understands that there's an objective to be achieved. And, torpedoes be damned, I'm going to achieve that objective, and I'm going to drive to whatever that goal is. And so that's another, military mentality that has shaped my practice, and it's more of just a winning mindset than anything else.
Excellent. That's awesome. And like I said, I mean, there are going to be people listening that are going, maybe I shouldn't be making that text. Maybe I shouldn't be checking that post, even if it is at a stop sign or a stoplight, because of the possibility of it coming back and biting them down the road.